this episode, my photography is just better.
You've got to do what it takes to get the shot.
You're gonna fail a few times.
Give you some nice perkiness.
Yeah, I'm just saying I've gained weight.
And get yourself into trouble.
Whatever Gavin's telling you in this video, just do the opposite.
A hideous swamp creature.
Maybe I'll have to focus stack this tree that you can see there.
Understanding light. You've got to suck my toes.
I thought you were supposed to pee on it.
Yeah, you do that first. This is why this particular shot is brilliant. Look into my eyes. Look closer. Well, it's 4 a.m. I've had, I think, 5 hours of sleep, but I do have a face like an upchucked oyster. But I'm not going to let that bother me, because today we're going back out on the bayou for some photography, and this video is going to be all about why my photography is better than yours. What's your face like, love?
An amazed panda.
Amanda the panda. Anyway, I'm just going to force down this oatmeal and this coffee, and it's time to get on the road and get our canoe. We've got a canoe for today.
Relaxing day for me.
What do you mean it's a relax? You're going to paddle, aren't you?
Well, I'm going to let you guess just how much paddling Amanda did. You might be right if you guessed bugger all.
Now, I'm not saying you're a crap photographer. For all I know, you might be brilliant. You might actually be way better than I am. But for all of those out there that are getting a bit frustrated with their own work, wondering why your work isn't perhaps as good as professionals, what makes them that professional standard, this video is dedicated to all the little things that you can do to elevate your photography. And the first thing really that it all boils down to is dedication. What are you prepared to do? How much discomfort are you prepared to tolerate? How far are you willing to travel? How much money are you willing to spend? How much comfort are you willing to sacrifice in order to get just one shot? So, like, here's an example today. We got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's not even 5:30, and we're paddling in a canoe down a swampy river. So to me, that's not a huge sacrifice. That's not a big deal, really. That's just what I do. But I guess I do this for a living, so I can justify a certain amount of discomfort. Only you can decide what your discomfort level is going to be, but really it starts with dedication. Talking of dedication, I should probably do some paddling because Amanda's doing all the work, so I'll crack on. Alright, after about 20 minutes of furious paddling by myself, we finally arrived at this just absolutely spectacular lake. I don't know if you can see the pink in the sky there, and I'm actually standing up on the canoe. I don't know if you can see that, because we've managed to wedge ourselves in between two trees like this, which is great. It just gives us a nice little platform, as long as we can unwedge ourselves. But if we can't unwedge ourselves, I'm not too worried, because we'll just get Michael Shainblum and Andrew Studer to just ram us with their boat. So anyway, I'm going to look around here for some compositions, see what I can find, but I mean, look at this business.
Now, when it comes to dedication, I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. You're going to have to get used to sleep deprivation so that you can capture shots like this.
Now, as you can see, I'm taties deep in the swamp, and you know, again, it goes back to that whole thing of dedication. So how uncomfortable are you willing to get to capture the shot? Are you willing to brave freezing temperatures? I mean, it's nice and warm here. Are you willing to brave alligator infested swamp like me, you know? Now, I have to be really careful here, because what I don't want you to do is something as stupid as the things that I do, and get yourself into trouble, you know. Then I would be liable, and I don't want that. But you do have to go to some extreme lengths some of the time, as long as you're safe. You know, I've got to say that. You know, I've done some stupid things. I've jumped in rivers. I've braved frostbite many a time. I've climbed sketchy rock faces. Again, I'm not recommending you do any of that, but you've got to do what it takes to get the shot. Start small, do little things, and then sort of build up to the bigger, more extreme things as your skill level and your competence grows. But you really have to think, what am I willing to do to get the shot? And if you're an idiot like me, it's pretty much anything. Alright, I just want to show you guys this little tasty composition here. So if you look over here, you see this grouping of trees. Where is it? I can't tell on this camera. This grouping of trees here. There's 2 trees and then a grouping of several behind them. So I've zoomed in to, I don't know, I'm going to say about 200, and I've basically just got the bottom quarter of the frame is the reflection and the lake, and then the rest of it is these beautiful trees. So these 2 are bookending that central collection there, and I've got as much canopy in the frame as I can possibly get. Anyway, if this shot turns out to be half decent, here's the shot.
Turned out alright, but then I spotted another composition and shot this image. Well, I know which of these 2 images I like the best, but post a comment and let me know which one you like best and the reasons why.
Right, so I've framed up quite a tasty shot actually.
Hey, are you Gavin Hardcastle?
Yep.
Your videos are okay, but I really like Nick Page.
Nick Page?
Yeah.
That's your favourite, is it?
It is.
Well, thanks for that. Enjoy your paddle. Now, the next reason why professional photographers like myself might be lucky enough to obtain better shots than you is simply because of the locations that we choose to go to, and I think that ties into the first point that I gave you there, which is dedication. So it almost doesn't matter how good your technique is if you're just going to the same old boring places or convenient, easy access places. Your photography is only going to get so far, and that's the problem. It does cost money if you want to get to these amazing places. Well, depending on where you're born and where you live, but you know, if you live somewhere that doesn't offer that much, you're just going to have to accept that you'll have to travel, and then you'll get those brilliant shots.
Alright, so sleep deprivation, financial embarrassment, time-consuming travel, danger and discomfort. Are you still with me?
Another really solid tip that I can give you to improve your photography and get it onto that top level is to really obsess about composition, because it almost doesn't matter how good you are at Photoshop or Lightroom. It doesn't really even matter how perfect your technique is. It doesn't really even matter if you go to a beautiful place like this and get perfect light, because without the ability to compose an engaging shot that tells a story or just really takes the viewer into that scene and makes them wonder, wow, what's it like there? Without that compositional ability, your photography is not going to progress. So this is where I'm going to shamelessly plug my Composition Made Easy courses, volume 1, 2 and 3. There's a link in the description if you want to learn more about composition. But if you got 10 photographers together and they all had perfect technique, perfect conditions and perfect subject matter, the one who would get the strongest shots is the one who's obsessed with composition. Okay, so I've got Michael Shainblum here, so this is a perfect opportunity to give you some more tips on how you could really improve your photography. So Andrew, what tips would you give to people to really elevate their photography game?
Well, obviously, workshops from Gavin and Michael would be a great place to start.
That's not going to fly.
This tip is terrible. Let me turn the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever Gavin's telling you in this video, just do the opposite. You will get stunning photos. If you asked any photographer on this lake, that's the tip they would give you. It's like common practice in landscape photography, isn't it? Isn't it, Gavin?
I resemble this remark.
The best tip I can give is to slow down.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes people rush photography and they get really excited about going to a new place that they heard about, or like a place that's on the bucket list, and then you just kind of like go in with, I need to get an epic shot, and you kind of rush, and you really, to get good images that mean something, to get images that tell really interesting stories about the locations, you have to really take a deep breath and just relax and slow down, because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of trial and error, you're gonna fail a few times, so that's the biggest advice I would give, is like, especially if you're getting frustrated in field, just take a really long deep breath and just kind of relax, enjoy the landscape, appreciate it with your eyes first and see what is really captivating you, and then pull out the camera and just kind of enjoy the scene, taking pictures.
Some sage advice there from Michael Shainblum. Quite accurate, because we've given ourselves a week. We don't expect to get an epic shot on the first day. I mean, even though I did, obviously, it's me. But, I think every day that you shoot, you think, wow, that's the best shot. But there's always another day if you give yourself that time. And then the conditions might get better. We might get fog. If we can get fog, I'm just going to reshoot everything that I've shot.
That's fair. Yeah. It's a tricky place to photograph, though.
Are you finding that you're getting stuff, or are you finding it's really difficult?
I think it's really challenging. It's like, because, normally we're used to being on the ground. So you're like, oh, I've got my tripod and I'll do a long exposure and I can get my setting. And here you're like, I'm on a boat.
Yeah.
And it's dark. How am I going to get an in-focus shot that, like, with a clean background and everything? So it's just it's a lot of, like what I was saying earlier, it's a ton of trial and error. Like, I have certainly had a lot of error this morning, and I'm trying to figure out the other parts.
Well, you got your sexy hip waders. I want to see you. Have you got in yet?
No.
What are you waiting for?
I just dug the tripod in. Okay, so here's the reason I haven't done that, is because I feel like, every inch changes the tree's perspective.
It does.
And you'll get close to an area where you think you can get out and then realize, oh, actually a foot backwards was the spot that, gets the trees in the perfect position.
I did the same thing on the first day, and now I've completely reversed my method. What I do now is I just go straight for the shoreline and then just tromp along the shoreline, trying not to get eaten by alligators, and see if I can find a comp. And that's the problem. Sometimes you lose the comp that you saw from the water, but you might gain something else, and then at least you can get a sharp image. Oh, I see that you've got a Shimoda backpack there. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
Black one.
Yeah, not bad, huh?
I've got the ladies one.
You took mine.
It's much better for the fuller chested male. You know what I mean?
The ladies is better than the...
Yeah, because it's got a strap above the nipple
Because you've
and
got
below.
little man boobs.
Well, I was just looking at your chest earlier and thought you might appreciate it. It gives you a little bit of heft. There, I thought you might like that.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's nice to have a bit of heft.
Okay.
You want to try it out later?
Yeah.
I'll adjust it for you.
Okay, all right.
Give you some nice perkiness
Yeah,
to those shirt potatoes that you've got there.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Are you saying I've gained weight?
No, I wouldn't say that, especially seeing as I'm as fat as f***.
I know, you can already feel yourself becoming a better landscape photographer. And if you're enjoying this video, do me a favour, give it the old thumbs up and maybe subscribe to the channel.
Another thing that's going to really improve the quality of your landscape photography is understanding light and how light affects a scene. So, I mean, I'm at an absolutely spectacular location right now. I'll just show you a little video clip that I just filmed. And to me, it could not be better in terms of the scenery. But the light is quite harsh. It's really complicated. If I had an overcast morning or an overcast afternoon and the light was soft, I could get an absolutely beautiful shot. But because this light is quite high, it's complicated. It's making the scene look really over contrasty. Oh, those birds look beautiful there. So it's not going to work, but all I've got to do to make this shot absolutely perfect is just come back, frame up either the exact same composition or something very similar, and just wait for that light to be soft, either before the sun's come up or after the sun's gone down, or even on a cloudy day. But understanding how light affects the scene is as important really as composition, because your composition may well depend on what the light is doing.
Now, if that sounded like I was contradicting what I said earlier about composition, well, that just means you're paying attention.
So here's what I'm talking about. I'll just stop down a little bit here. So with this composition that I've framed up, I've got some unbelievable elements. If you just look at the shapes, I've got two beautiful trees. This one arcs into the right with all of this gorgeous orange canopy, and then it's reflected there. So I'd actually probably just go for it. I'd cut this edge off and cut that edge off and go for a square composition. And what's making that a problem right now is this patchy light. So if you look at the trunk of this tree here, you can see it's really complicated looking. It's kind of messy. And the same with this one here. And with all of the light making tons of contrast on the background there, it's just kind of eye fatiguing. There's too much to look at. But if this was soft light, it would completely change. I mean, when a cloud comes over it, I can almost get the shot. Then when it comes over, it just changes ever so slightly and it's enough. But what I really need is a complete cloud cover, or like I said, pre-sunrise or post-sunset.
With my stomach grumbling, I thought I'd go and get some lunch, give it a few hours and then come back.
All right, so given what I just said about the quality of the light, I've waited a few hours and I've come back to this almost the exact same spot, certainly within the same 10 feet. And I've framed up a similar composition to what I had earlier, but look at the difference a few hours makes. What you should hopefully be able to see is that the light that's on the trees, each one of these trees, is really soft. It's basically in the shade. But what's really nice is the tops of the trees, way up in the top of the frame there, they're getting some direct sunlight as it's setting, and you can see that reflected down here in the bottom of the frame. So you've got light from above reflected in the bottom, but not directly touching any of my subjects. All of my subjects, which are these trees, are perfectly in the shade. And that's just a pretty rudimentary example of understanding how light works.
Remember that dedication that I keep bleating on about? Well, it required me to get to bed, get some sleep, so that I could be up for sunrise.
So it's day 3?
Pretty much, day 3.
Day 3 on the bayou.
Yeah.
And yesterday we heard that there's the presence of water moccasins in the area, which are lethal snakes. So there's that to worry about.
That's okay.
Yeah?
You got stuff to worry about in Canada, right? Mooses.
I bet moose kill more people than water moccasins per year.
Moosei.
Meese?
Mooses. Meese. Well, I guess it's great that it's going to bite you and not me.
The only hellish swamp creatures that I could see were all carrying tripods, and then I saw this beautiful bird fishing for breakfast, only to have the moment ruined by this atrocious beast. It's the stuff of nightmares, it really is.
Bloody tourists.
Now, if you get out into the swamp early enough, there's a chance that you might encounter a hideous swamp creature. In this case, I can just see in the distance what's called a Michael Shainblum, an absolutely atrocious looking beast. And it does have a tendency of just wandering into your compositions. It just can't help itself. You frame up what's potentially a killer shot, and the hideous beast will just wander right into your shot, scaring off all of the wildlife. But the creature itself is quite an interesting monstrosity. Hopefully it won't stick around for too long. I'll just wait. Just wait till it's finished. Oh, it looks like it's moving. Yeah, you can see it's thinking about it. Yeah, it's still thinking about it. Yeah. Looks like it's sticking around for hours. Okay, before I explain this composition to you, I'll give you another tip on how to improve your photography, and that is to basically study the competition or study the legends, such as myself. You know, not Michael Shainblum over there. Just don't bother studying his stuff. But you know, just study your contemporaries. Just see what everybody else is doing, and try and figure out, just from looking at their work, what it is that they've done right, what is so good about their photography. Try and even list it, maybe write down, this is why this particular shot is brilliant. And then once you have a list of ingredients, almost like a recipe for success, then you can go out and look for those same elements in your own compositions, look for the same elements in the light, in the subject matter, whatever it is that makes that image great. If you can see that and recognize that, then you should be able to emulate that in your own photography. But like I said, just, you know, study my work, not his.
I finally realised that Shainblum just really wanted to be in this video, so why not give him his moment?
Alright, so let me explain what's got me frothing so much about this composition. Don't laugh. So there's the swamp creature that I was talking about there. I mean, I'm trying to get... Oh, it's seen me. Oh, God. It's quite poisonous. It does emit toxic fumes on a regular basis, which are quite noxious. Oh, look, it's seen me again. Now if it makes eye contact, that's when you should just evacuate your bowels immediately, because you're doomed. Anyway, so this composition, I just love this frame. So I've got these... There's kind of like a window. I've got these big cypress trees on the left and the right, and then these... I don't know what you call these. Are these called saplings? Are these roots? What are they called, these little young trees that are trying their best to grow up? And I love this tree, which I've put into the right of the frame, as well as the Shainblum creature over there. Now, as much as I love this composition, and I know this is a cop-out to say, but it really needs some fog, because what's wrong with this composition is all of this white that you can see down in the water here, because we've got a pure white sky. Now, if there'd been some cloud that had erupted with some beautiful pinks and reds, then absolutely I would have loved that colour, whatever it would be, to be reflected in the water there. But we don't have that. We've just got a pure white sky, which will eventually turn into blue, and I don't like that. If we had mist though over here, and just, you know, in the treetops, it would just completely fix that problem of that dappled light in the water and just create an absolutely immense mood. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to get this shot today, but hopefully on the weekend there'll be a bit of fog, and if there is, I will be right back here. And I guess that's the other tip that I would give you, is when you do find beautiful compositions that you absolutely know will work in certain conditions, take that shot anyway and log that in memory, and just remember to come back to that when the conditions are favourable, because some of the best shots that you see out there, I can guarantee that those are not the first attempt by that photographer. Kind of goes back to what I was saying about dedication, but if you are persistent and you keep coming back and you keep coming back to a composition that you know is absolutely solid, when you do get those perfect conditions, you'll also get the perfect shot, which I'm not going to get today with that swamp creature over there in the frame.
I was actually beginning to wonder if he was just stuck in the mud.
Alright, so final tip here, and that is you've got to have creative vision. And I know that sounds a bit wishy-washy, and it is really, but sometimes you have to look at the shot that you've got and try and think beyond what's actually being displayed on the back of your camera or through the EVF, and think about what you can do to enhance it or change it ever so slightly. So an example of that is, let me just turn this around. I really like this composition here, but just like the one that I showed you earlier, there's too much white sky both in the top of the frame and then reflected in the bottom. So what I've done is I've composed this in such a way that I can crop pretty much a good quarter out of the bottom there and of the top. Now this camera doesn't let me display aspect ratios like 65:24 like on the Fujifilm GFX 100S and on the Hasselblad X2D. I love that ability to be able to shoot that X-pan ratio, but I don't have it on this camera, so I'm just gonna have to use a bit of creative vision, you know, and use my imagination to estimate what that's going to look like if I cut that out. And looking at that, I think it's going to look pretty tasty indeed. So I'm going to take this shot. Maybe I have to focus stack this tree that you could see there because it's quite close to me, and this one here. But if I'm careful, I might just be able to get it in one frame and then do that crop, and then I might get the image that I could see in my head but I can't quite see on the back of the camera. Let's see if this turns out to be any good. Here's a shot. I've had a brilliant idea for a skit, right? So what we do is I pretend that I've just got bit by a water moccasin, which is no laughing matter. Obviously, it's lethal. But the only way for me to survive is for you to suck the poison out, right? But I've got bit on the toes, so you've got to suck my toes, Michael. Is that something that you would entertain for a skit?
You wonder why I don't hang out with you anymore.
I mean, like, you know, maybe just 2 toes, you know, two at the same time. Just really give it a right good suck.
Oh man!
Like you've got to get some good suction on there though, because it's poison.
Yeah, true. It is poison.
Yeah.
I thought you were supposed to pee on it.
Yeah, you do that first.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So that's not a no though. I'm not hearing a no. So.
No, that's definitely a no.
Oh, it's a hard no.
It's a hard no, yeah.
What if I got bit on the crotch? Then that's a hard yes. Okay, I got it.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
And then I had a bloody technical problem. Typical.
Michael, I've got a bit of a problem.
Yeah, what do you...
The audio on this is absolutely atrocious.
Okay.
I've got technical problems. I really need a new camera, but have you got some sort of like lav mic, like a wireless? Oh yeah.
What about this?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Pretty good with the wind. The little windscreen.
Little wind buff. Okay, I'll add that. Yeah, thanks.
Whoa. What you got?
What do you mean? In return for that?
Yeah. You want to trade?
I know. I've got a perfect solution for this. A copy of Chasing Awe with Gavin Hardcastle. There you go. That's yours.
Yeah, I'm not touching that. I'm good.
It's yours. It's just a little bit. It's been in my bag a little bit. It's kind of wrinkly, but it's definitely worth that muff thing. You even get mentioned in there, which you'd know if you'd already read it.
I'm okay.
I'll just take the mag though.
But I guess you can borrow it. Yeah, I'm good without the book. All good. Yeah, no worries.
You sure?
Kind of weird.
What's weird?
Just, what are you even looking at?
The clouds. You can see them reflected in my eyes. Look into my eyes. Look closer. Look at it. Look at me, Michael.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Weird book. I feel like my mic is worth so much more. You're charging people for this?
There is actually a link in the description.
To get it for free?
No,
Oh, to buy.
to buy. I'll put it there for you, and then, you know, when you're ready, you just put it in your camera bag, carry it around at all times.
Yeah.
It's really good for inspiration. You know,
You know it would be fun? You could put it there, and then someone, you know, stumbling on the scene could find this book and be like, oh, look at that. It's fun. So you just leave it there, and I'm gonna head on out, I think. You can have the mic.
Oh.
It's all good. Just
Right.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Head on out, though.
All right.
Without the chasing awe.
Then. Yeah.
But good job. Good job, bud.
Right.
That's a cool book right there. You did a good job.
There's a link in the description. I'm not leaving it there though.